Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the show brought to you by Uncanny Media. And I realize, I realized this morning, um, that I was late. I was late. I I meant to do the show last night because when you hear the show, it's going to be on Thursday instead of Wednesday. So I meant to do the show Tuesday night, but I do the game streams, right? I do the game streams nightly, and then on Tuesdays I record this episode after a shortened game stream on Tuesdays usually. And I was on a roll. I did my stream and then I turned off the stream and then I started playing games and I just completely just slipped my mind that I was like, "Hey, I was supposed to do an episode of the show tonight." So we're a day late. I was negligent. I was irresponsible. I apologize. But here we are. We're back anyway. We are back. We've got things to talk about. We do have things to talk about. I am still coughing, as you can tell. I have medicine. I ordered another pack of cold and sinus medicine from Amazon because none of the local stores around here that carry medication have medication with ibuprofen as opposed to Tylenol because I can't take medication with Tylenol. It's been like this for several years, long before there was some controversy about Tylenol that happened like a year or two ago. I don't know what that was all about, but I can't take Tylenol because it messes up my blood pressure. Acetaminophen. Acetaminophen is the main ingredient in Tylenol. It affects my blood pressure, so I can't take it. I can take ibuprofen, which I've been taking regularly, daily, for a number of years for my back pain and et cetera, et cetera. And it's not great for my liver and kidneys, which is why I take vitamins and things to help offset it. There's a delicate balance of things I take to make sure that everything is not overdone or unhealthy. But I take Advil cold and sinus when I'm sick usually because that's what works. It's already got the Advil as ibuprofen, so I can take one of those and lessen my usual dose of ibuprofen by one to even up because it's about the same milligrams, so I don't overdo it. But none of the stores around here carry that. They all carry Tylenol products. They don't carry. You can get ibuprofen on its own, but as far as like a cold medicine that doesn't have Tylenol, it's near impossible. And I think it's because there was some kind of the FDA had something happen like a couple of years back where they were like, "Oh yeah, these are all just placebo medicines and they don't work and we're taking them off the market." And unfortunately, the medicines that worked for me were included in that whole bunch, and they included the ibuprofen as opposed to the acetaminophen from Tylenol. So I have to order it from Amazon, which is ridiculous. But that's how things work. So anyway, I'm taking that to try to clear up the drainage and the cough so I don't end up like last year where I just had that 6 month spree of just cold symptoms for 6 freaking months. I'm hoping that doesn't happen with this. It's not fun. So yes, I am coughing. We're gonna try not to let that interrupt the episode too much. What else is going on? It's been up and down weather-wise. I was able to go outside yesterday, even though it was in the 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and I was able to grill some food for the family, which I did. Because I wanted to grill some burgers for myself. So I grilled myself some burgers, I grilled them some burgers and some hot dogs, and we had a good time. And an update to something I talked about in the last episode. The last episode I talked about the Schwabel's Bread Company, which has been a fixture in this part of the United States for 120 years, longer than I have been alive, clearly. But they were always a fixture in the grocery store. Anytime I went to the grocery store, Schwabel's bread. It was there. You may not always get that. You might get the store brand or an off brand or whatever, but Schwabel's was always there. Now, of course, they're shutting down. They're liquidating, and there was a sign at my local grocery store that said, "We will be running short of bread supplies of our store brand bread because it's sourced through Schwabel's." And I had an inkling, I had a feeling, I had a suspicion that that might be the case. Because a lot of times you get a lot of generic products that are actually name brand stuff of a slightly lesser overall quality, but still good under store brand names. It happens with medicines, it happens with foodstuffs. Usually it's one of the bigger players making the product, but maybe they might not. It might be a slightly different recipe, or it might be more basic, less inclusive of different flavors and things. And so they can sell it cheaper. So it's the store brand. It's generic, quote unquote. In my local grocery store, I bought their bread because it was the cheapest. And it's still good. It's still good bread, right? Apparently it was made by Schwabels. So there are big signs at my grocery store about the bread that I usually buy, saying, due to the fact that the Schwabel's Bread Company is going to be closing, we might have shortages on bread. And that's unfortunate. I suspected it, like I said. But it's still unfortunate. Now, they say they're going to try to find another bread supplier, but who knows what it's going to be like. If it's going to taste the same, if it's going to hold up the same, if it's going to stay preserved the same. So it's kind of up in the air, which is, and you might wonder, well, it's just bread. Just buy a different, just buy different bread or bread. Different brands have different prices. Some of them are more expensive, some of them are not, and we're trying to save money. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so I'm upset about that. I am upset about that. A couple other things. I am cutting back on some of my social media representation, not because it's mostly because the areas that I'm cutting back on have not really done much in my favor. Specifically for Facebook recently. On Facebook, I've got my main page, which is my name. It's verified. I do almost the entirety of my promo through my main page. I have had a Spider in the Hole music project page that over the years has had some attention and had not attention. It didn't have a lot of followers, no matter how much I tried. It just didn't get a lot of attention. So it was kind of. I tried to use it as the official Spider in the Hall fan page, and people would get views, but there wouldn't be a lot of subscribers. And I had a second page, a third page, actually. It's a third page after that, that I had initially made for another music project I was going to do that I never got the time to get around to. and then I repurposed it to be a repository for my links for my Twitch channel, but it got neglected because most of that stuff I usually ran through my main Facebook page anyway, my main profile. So I made the decision to close down the Spider in the Hole Facebook page and the other page that I'd been using for my Twitch channel because everything's going through my main one anyway. It's all going through the main Uncanny Media page, which has my name attached to it. So I don't really need the extra pages. I'm trimming the fat, so to speak, which is where the episode name comes from. I'm cutting down on excess things so that I can stay focused on what I need to focus on, which is bringing you great content. So, and one thing that irked me over the years is people who have like 5 or 6 different pages for all their different interests and all these various things, and they want you to like and share and everything on all their different pages. And I got caught up in a little bit of that, but I, I don't care for it. I think it's too much. It's too much diversification. Certain specific individuals who are not happy with me on a regular basis have multiple pages. Certain individuals have had up to 6 pages at once. And due to things that I have done behind the scenes, I was able to help them reduce that workload by quite a bit. And now they only have 3 pages. You're welcome. That was some time ago though. So, but I think having too many pages is superfluous. I think it spreads out the attention rather than concentrates it. I think if you're trying to make an impact on social media, you should have a very limited amount of pages per platform to avoid watering down the viewership. And so that's what I've done. I've concentrated everything into my main page on Facebook. You can look it up. You can find me. Look up Uncanny Media, and you're certain to find me. I'm not going to put my real name out here. It's there, so it's not like it's a big secret, but I'm not going to put it out here. But you'll be able to find it, and you can follow me there. And everything that I post and everything I have news-wise all goes through the one page instead of multiple. So I have one Facebook page. I have an Instagram page that I don't hardly use. It's mostly for promotional stuff. I have the YouTube channel, of course, just the one. I have my Twitch channel, just the one. I have my LinkedIn page, which has been helping get attention to my podcast. This podcast right here, the show. I don't know why I said it like that. My podcast. Well, this is it. This is my podcast. Um, and I have miscellaneous other things, accounts, different places, but I don't have anything that's social media forward. These are all my social media. I don't excuse me. I don't have a Blue Sky. I got rid of mine. I don't have a Twitter/X account. I got rid of that also. I've never had a Truth Social account. Don't care about it. I don't have a Threads account through Meta. I don't care about that. I don't have a TikTok. Don't care about it. Um, and I don't have, well, I do have a Minds account, Minds, because way back I thought it might be important, but after a while it got to be cumbersome. So I have it, but I hardly ever use it. So don't really ask for it because it's not a big deal. It's not important. I don't even remember the password, to be fair. Excuse me. I'm going to have a drink here. But that's my social media presence. Facebook, one page. YouTube, one channel. Twitch, one channel. Instagram, barely there. Don't use it for much. And that's about it, along with other assorted things. Like I have my website. I have the Patreon attached to the website, which doesn't see a whole lot of action. I have the merch shop, theuncannyshop.com, theuncannyshop.com. It's the Uncanny Media official merchandise location. That is a big deal. You can get all kinds of great stuff there. I added new merchandise designs today. If you want a Rise and a Resonate shirt, one of each, they're both there. So you can always check there because I have sales periodically depending on the time of the season, and you can get some things for cheap. Get yourself some high quality, fresh swag at theuncannyshop.com. But that's it. That's all that. That's all that stuff. Let's let's go back and revisit a topic that we talked about recently. We've been talking about what is basically the implosion of the console gaming industry. It's it's gotten to the point where the big companies, Sony and Xbox, which is Microsoft, have both made admissions that profits and etc. have not been where they wanted to be, and quality has not been where they wanted to be, and they're making cuts. They're again trimming the fat, cutting down their operation. We talked last week about how Microsoft had laid off 3,200 people from its Xbox division and like 4,800 people total across the entire company of Microsoft. Details came out about which studios and which gaming publishers were suffering the most. And I was kind of unnerved to hear that id Software, they've been a part of Bethesda and ZeniMax for a number of years now, but id Software were responsible for the Doom franchise and the Wolfenstein franchise and a few other things, and they had their staffing cut by a significant amount. Now, they say they're still in good shape for the most part. They say their team is about as big as it was when they made Doom 2016, which is still a pretty solid game. But it's still unfortunate that they had to suffer the cuts because the Doom franchise, I think, it has a good loyal core audience. It might not be the biggest moneymaker in the Microsoft treasure chest, so to speak, but I think the Doom, it's got a lot of nostalgia. And the Doom games, the modern Doom games, have done very well. They might not have had huge sales numbers, but they have a dedicated audience that will always buy them. And I'm one of them. Unless the games suddenly take a huge quality dip, I will keep buying Doom games. Like it's a given. If a new Doom comes out, I'm buying it. It's no brainer. Like because it's usually always good, even if it's not great. It's usually always good. Now, Doom 2016, for example, I liked. It was hard. It was difficult, but I liked it. Doom Eternal was better in every way. It had excellent traversal mechanisms. It had excellent combat. Everything about it was better. It's the best of the modern Doom games, in my personal opinion. You may disagree. Doom: The Dark Ages, I liked. I put it between 2016 and Eternal. It seemed like a simpler concept. It was easier to get all of the achievements if you're into that, but it was also a nice tactical game. It had some of the traversal mechanisms of. I apologize. This cough is going to drive me nuts. It had some of the great traversal mechanisms of Eternal, but some of the great gunplay of 2016. And it was a good compromise between those two systems. I liked it. The recent DLC that came out for Doom the Dark Ages is called Revelations. And it was interesting. It was not bad. It was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But it was a decent game and it filled in some story stuff and it helped with different things and I liked it. And a lot of people are saying that it's one of the best Doom DLCs in the modern era that currently exist, which is a big deal. And so after that, it's disheartening to hear that a good number of their team has been dismissed, has been laid off, and their team has been reduced because I think they really put in the work. I think they really put in the time. Of all the various studios that Microsoft could put people laid off on, id Software is the least necessary for them to reduce staff on. I think id Software needs to have not more people. It doesn't have to be bloated. It doesn't have to have so many people that they don't know what they're doing, but it does need to have a core group of competent staff to keep making great games because that's what they do. id Software makes good games. Now, Wolfenstein has since been sold off to Machine Games, and they're putting out great games too. I haven't heard about any layoffs at Machine Games. I hope I don't, because not only id Software, but Obsidian Entertainment has suffered layoffs as well. Obsidian generally deals with sequels. Obsidian had the Knights of the Old Republic sequel, Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was a better game than the first one, even if it had problems. Obsidian also did my least favorite Fallout game, which is Fallout New Vegas, which is also other people's most favorite Fallout game. And I get it. I couldn't get into it. It bored me. I could never get too far beyond the first few levels, first few maps. But it's one of the franchise's most beloved entries, and people really like it a lot. And so Obsidian, again, they've done a great job. And they also are responsible for the Outer Worlds 1 and 2, which I really enjoy. I mean, I haven't finished 2 yet, okay, but I really liked the first one. I liked the second one up to so far where I've gotten. A lot of people consider the Outer Worlds kind of a not a great franchise, but I liked it. I liked it. And Obsidian is responsible for that. So they've lost people and now they're kind of working on a skeleton crew. A lot of things are just changing in the gaming industry. The Destiny 2 situation is what it is. There's been no major updates. Remember I said that there was a petition for people to make, for the studio to make, oh, we want Destiny 3, we want this, and maybe if we all log into the server at once, we'll get their attention and they'll know how dedicated we are. None of that has changed anything. Destiny 2 has been brought down to emergency fixes only, and that's it. The Destiny team has been providing a bunch of free emblems and things like that just for fun with what limited resources they have. But there's no major updates coming. There's even some of their basic fixes have been pushed back by a week here and a week there because they don't have the team members. Everyone's been either let go, laid off, or reassigned. So Destiny 2 is essentially a dead game. Yes, it will have a dedicated player base, so it will continue, just like the first game. As long as they leave the server online, people will play it. And you can say, well, that doesn't make it a dead game, that makes it vibrant and lifelike. They will never have a consequential update ever again. And that makes it a dead game. And people are finally coming around to the fact that this is real. It's finally over. There's not going to be anything else. We just have to play the game as it is, and that's it. And it all reminds me of the state of games before live service took over. Because when I grew up, you bought a game, and the only time you ever might have connected it online later in its lifespan was if you wanted to download DLC. Most games, most of the games I played in my youth, you bought the game and that was it. That's what you had. If the company made DLC, you either bought the DLC disc when it came out or you downloaded it in the early days of the internet. You didn't have hot fixes, you didn't have bug fixes like that, you didn't have regular updates. You had what you had, and that was it. And now we're at a point where, oh yeah, we can update the game real quick. We just have to hop on the server and adjust some code and whatnot, and we can add this and we can add that. But at the same time, there's now licensing agreements where you're basically leasing the game. The company can say, well, we can turn on and off features at will, and if we don't want you to have them, we won't let you have them. Diablo 4 is a good example recently. They had a season last year. At some point, there was a season where you had a little, I want to call it a robot, but it's a magical construct. It's just a little spidery, it's a metal spider, basically a robot spider, as a companion that you earned as part of the seasonal content. Seasonal content is stuff that comes up every couple of months that's temporary, that gives you access to special gear and special things that you can only get during the season. And some of it you get to keep, but some of it you don't. The little spider thing that helped you throughout the entirety of that, once you earned it, after the season was over, it was gone. You didn't get access to it anymore. And they had a bug where for a while, even the armor that was supposed to be a permanent unlock, the armor that was supposed to be an appearance that, you earned it through your playtime, once the season was over, it got taken away. And it wasn't supposed to, but that's how it was. And so what you had to wait for a fix to come through to let you have it back after you've earned it. But that's the key. The key is they could always say, well, we don't care if you've earned it. We don't want you to have it. And they can turn it off. It's all code. It's not saved anywhere on your local console. It's up to their discretion. They can always say, hey, you know what? We don't want this in the game anymore, so it's not in the game anymore. And if you've earned it, if you've worked hard to get it, it doesn't matter. If you've paid for it, even if you have paid for it and they decide we don't want it in the game anymore, they reserve the right to take it out. And that's where we're at with the state of the gaming industry, especially with now Sony first making their announcement and Xbox, Microsoft following up afterwards saying they're not going to do physical games anymore. They're going to move to an all digital model. And if it's an all digital model, then they can resort everything to licenses. They can say everything is a license. You are paying us for the right to play the game, not the right to own the game. And that's a shame because I grew up where you owned things. You bought discs, you bought Blu-rays, you bought game discs, you bought CDs. And now I did make the move to MP3s as that came along, but you still get to own MP3s. You can download them on your computer, you get to keep them. But now everything's Spotify and Tidal and all this other stuff. It's all streamable. And if an artist decides, hey, we don't want to put this on your platform anymore, you don't get to listen to it anymore. If Nine Inch Nails decided we don't want to be on Spotify anymore, I would not be able to listen to Nine Inch Nails on Spotify. I would have to go to my physical collection, my MP3s. Which is why I don't buy into the whole digital everything. It's all about licenses, and that's I didn't pay for a license. I paid for a product. And if I'm not paying for a product, I don't want to pay for it. Why would I pay for a license to use a product and not keep it? That's my personal opinion. Now that being said, I do use Netflix and I do use all because that's what's out there. I have a lot of DVDs, I have a lot of Blu-rays, I have a lot of downloaded movies and things of that nature. I watch a lot of things on streaming because it's convenient. And that's the trap. The trap is, oh, it's convenient. You're going to let it happen because it's convenient. You're going to let things just get away from you because it's convenient. And I'm guilty of the same thing. And I hate it. I hate it. But that's the future. That is, the future is now, to be honest. The future is now. So that's what it is. If you hear clicking in the background, the the Xbox Ultimate Game Sale, which happens in the summer, is active right now. So I'm looking around at it while I'm talking because I can do multiple things. I'm probably not going to buy anything, but I'm looking around to see what's out there. Usually the spring sale is the very best sale for Xbox games, but the summer sale sometimes is pretty good too. It's better than the Christmas sales. The Christmas sales are kind of not so good by comparison. But anyway, what else do we want to talk about? What else do we want to talk about? I feel like we've beaten this topic into the ground as far as the local wildlife is concerned. But they're still doing their thing. They're still raging against the machine. Here's something. Here's something that I this is this is ridiculous. This is not the local wildlife. I'm moving on to this is national politics, okay? In an effort to help with gas prices, the current administration, and you know me, I don't take sides with various administrations. I'm not a current fan of the Trump one. I wasn't a fan at all of the Biden one. I was not a fan of the Obama one. So, you know, I'm just not a big fan of various politicians in the United States. But currently, the administration right now, they want to, in an effort to help gas prices, they want to establish 25. Okay, 25. Bear in mind, there's 50 states. Okay, so there's not even going to be one for every state. But they want to establish 25 freedom fuel stations. Freedom fuel. What this is they want to have gas stations where they set the price to be cheaper than the national average so that you can go and you can get cheap gas. And it's, again, the proposal is for 25 freedom fuel stations. And once again, there are 50 states. There are 50 states. Um, and the concept is interesting, having government subsidized fuel stations to try to keep the price down. I get it, but there's only 25 in the proposal, and there's 50 states. And if there's only going to be 25, where in the 50 states are they going to be? Because I'm not going to drive to like Columbus or to wherever to get cheaper gas. It's going to defeat the purpose. I'm not going to go to Cleveland to get cheaper gas. People in Pennsylvania who live in the rural areas, are you going to go to Harrisburg? Are you going to go to Philadelphia? I don't. It's not efficient. It's not efficient to just make 25. And maybe it's just a start. The articles that I've seen, because I looked at multiple articles, they weren't clear on how the plan was supposed to work. And maybe the administration doesn't even know how the plan is supposed to work. I don't know. But 25 to start with, freedom fuel stations with cheaper gas. Is the plan maybe to put these in places where gas is really high and so people will go to the freedom stations and get cheaper gas and it'll force all of the local other gas stations to lower their prices? I I get I get that as a concept, but again, it's so few. There's 50 states, 25 stations across 50 states. It's not enough. It's not enough. So it's kind of a silly it doesn't make sense to me. And add to that once again we are fighting over the Strait of Hormuz. And I don't want to make this a huge political episode. I don't. But we're still fighting over the strait with Iran over this important fuel lane. It keeps like 1 week we've got a great thing going. We've got an accord, we've got a ceasefire, everything's cool, the strait is open. The next week everything's bad again. We're bombing each other and the strait's closed and there's a blockade. Then the week after that, oh, it's open again. We've made a deal. We're saving lives and we're saving money. And oh, the week after that, it's closed again because we're bombing each other. Like, can we make a decision on whether we're going to do this or not? Like, goodness sake. It just drives me crazy. how back and forth this whole thing has been. And both sides have their propaganda. Our side is like, oh yeah, they've listened to us, they want to do this, and then their side, there's people in the streets with big signs shouting "Death to America," "Kill Trump," blah blah blah, blah and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, we're being shown what they want us to see on both sides. I know a person from Iran. I have a friend on Facebook who lives in Iran. I've known him for quite a while. And while he doesn't talk all the time about the situation, because again, you don't want to make yourself a target. And I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to make him a target, right? But he's said, he's like, hey, don't believe what they're telling you. Things are the way they are around here, and the people are still fighting back. Like the people don't want the the people the people on the ground do not want the Iranian administration in power. So there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of things going on, and you never hear the truth from anybody in the news. You only hear the truth from the people who are there. And even then, sometimes they're bought and paid for by their respective administrations. There's probably people on the street in Iran who are like, "Hey, yeah, the current government said that they were going to pay for my children and my home and everything, so I'm going to support them. Death to America." Whereas everybody else is like, "No, we didn't get anything from that. We hate this. We want America to save us, etc., etc." And then it's just, I know what I know based off of the person that lives there, and I trust his opinion because he lives there and I don't. So it's just a messy situation. Like politics drives me crazy. I gotta say, politics drives me crazy. Because in the meantime, you've got this going, but you've also got. Here's a thing that bugs me. Okay, when Rob Reiner was murdered. Okay, now right now, of course, that case is working through the courts. It's assumed that it was his son that did it because of evidence and whatnot, but he's fighting it in court, and I don't know if he's going for an insanity defense or what the deal is. But when Rob Reiner was murdered, Trump came out and made a post about it and was real tasteless about it. He blamed it on Trump derangement syndrome and a bunch of other stuff, and it was tasteless. It was unnecessary. Okay, it was unnecessary. And I'm not making a statement for or against Trump or whether you should feel a certain way against Trump. I'm just saying how I felt about the post and the situation. I felt it was tasteless. And I'm not going to say that Rob Reiner was my favorite guy. He made a lot of he was very over the top with his anti-Trump stuff. He went nuts with it. I'm not saying he had derangement syndrome or whatever. I'm just saying he was one of those people who was really all in, okay, against Trump. But I didn't want him to die over it, right? I didn't want him to get killed. So Trump said a tasteless, disgusting thing about it, and I didn't agree with it. Recently, Senator Lindsey Graham passed on. And I'm not a big fan of him either. I don't care. I didn't know much about him. I only know it was in the news because I don't live in his state and it doesn't affect me. But he passed on. And there's people who are celebrating that, saying really disgusting things about that. Like, oh, yeah, couldn't have do a nicer guy. Same thing with Mitch. Mitch McConnell is in the hospital for whatever because he had a fall, and people are like, oh, yeah, when is he going to die? Kick the bucket. And I think any kind of language from both sides that is like that is gross. I think it's disgusting. You can't say, I don't like Trump because he says all this horrible things about people, and then turn around and say something horrible about somebody that has helped been supportive of him. It takes you down. And I'm not telling you, oh, you got to take the high road. I'm just telling you, don't be a hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite. Like the people who went nuts about, oh yeah, Charlie Kirk, it's about time, ha ha ha. Don't. Somebody died. You don't like it when people on your side end their lives and they get made fun of by the other side. You don't like that, do you? You think it's gross. You think it's tasteless. You think it's disgusting and hateful. So don't do it back to the other side. Don't be hateful back. Don't trade hate for hate, is what I'm saying. Don't trade hate for hate. But people do that. People do that. They trade hate for hate, and I don't like it. Like I don't like it. And I don't understand why people insist on doing that. I don't understand. People are so loyal to a political ideology that they will gleefully celebrate the death of another human being while condemning the criticism of a death on their own side. Does it do you understand how ridiculous that sounds? It sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous because it is ridiculous. And I don't know. I I don't know. It drives me up the wall. The local wildlife get into this all the time. They there's a subsect that's like, oh yeah, Trump, we got to let Trump know about all this stuff happening in our tiny town because he's going to directly come here and make a difference. No, he won't. Nobody on either side is going to come in here and lead the charge and help you get rid of your parking ticket, etc., etc. You know, nobody's going to do that. So it's a tough world we live in because while all these other things are happening, meanwhile, I'm having to try to figure out how I'm going to get bread in the near future, where I'm going to get my bread from. So, my priorities are a little different than some other people's priorities. That's why I'm not going out with a handwritten sign, marching up and down, making my slogans, because it's not going to help. None of those people at the top are going to listen to you. Nobody's going to listen to you. Excuse me. If you want to make a difference, you have to become part of the system and try to change that system. And if you can't change the system, then you have to just make the best of it. You have to make the best of what you've got, which is not easy. It is not easy to do. But I don't know. We do our best. We do our best. And all of that has taken up most of the time we have for tonight. We've only got like 10 minutes left. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. Crazy for loving you. Anyway, um, what do we have upcoming? What do we got going on? If you've been following along on my Twitch channel, I have been playing. I had a challenge I had a challenge go out. I said if I got 70 followers on Twitch, I would play Dark Souls, which is a game I despise. Not because it's a bad game. I don't want anybody to get the impression that I'm trying to trash the game or the developer. But it's a game that I don't like because I don't like games that are designed specifically to be difficult so they can be difficult. And the Dark Souls franchise is like that. You have to constantly fight through levels over and over and over and over again to get more powerful with each run until you're able to move on to the next level. Then you repeat. You do the same thing. You fight and fight and fight until you have enough power to defeat it and go to the next level. So as a challenge to myself, I've been playing the first Dark Souls. Not even the remaster that was released later for modern consoles. The original from Xbox 360. And I have to say, and I mentioned this to Rob from This Uncanny Earth. If you're not watching that, you should be. This Uncanny Earth on YouTube every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I mentioned to him that I respect the game more than I did before. Having put in the time, I understand why people like it and why people put in the time. I still don't like it. Tomorrow is my last day playing it. I'm playing it for a week, 7 days total, and I haven't come around to enjoying it, but I do understand how people can enjoy that style of game, and I respect the time and the effort that goes into succeeding in a game like that. Because after numerous deaths and numerous runs of the same enemies over and over, you start putting skills, you put points and skills incrementally over a long period of time, and you start to notice the difference in how you're performing. You notice how, okay, I'm getting these encounters, they're a breeze, whereas before they were tough. And the various points that you're putting into your stats are making a difference. You're becoming slightly just enough more powerful with each run to move forward and accomplish greater things. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of dedication. So I have to give props to the people who enjoy these games, who put the time into these games to finish them from start to end because I can't. I can't. It's it's too much for me and I don't like it, but I respect it, which is more than I did before. I didn't understand what it was that made these games popular, other than people who deliberately wanted to be. I want to be so challenged that it's so hard that I want to say, I beat the most difficult challenge, ha ha ha, bragging rights. But that's not what it is. I don't think it's all about bragging rights. I think it's satisfaction of a job well done after putting in the time and putting in the effort. And so I respect it. I still don't like these games, but I respect them. So I'm playing through as much as I can of Dark Souls 1 until tomorrow. 7 days total. If I get another set of followers on Twitch, I'm going to do the sequel, Dark Souls 2, and then again, the same thing. I'm going to play that for a week, and then the third one, depending on the number of follows and subscribers I get. And there's other games in that genre that I'm going to try to throw in every now and again for entertainment purposes, for people to watch me play and see if I can get good, as the phrase is, see if I can achieve worth in these games. They're not my style, and I don't think I'm going to do well, but I'm making the attempt, and I respect the playstyle. which is important. But that's it. I think we're done. We're going to stop a couple minutes early. Not very many, but we've had enough to talk about. We've had our political rant, we've had our games rant, we've talked about everything we've talked about. It's been so many things I don't even remember. But we're going to finish up. We're going to get out of here. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. Our numbers on this podcast have been going up by huge amounts every week. And my goodness, I could not be more proud of all of you people and more humbled by all of your attention. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you who've been tuning in regularly every week, boosting our listener numbers, boosting our play numbers, boosting our ad revenue as a side note, because that keeps us on the air, that keeps us going, that keeps me able to produce these. And I appreciate you. I thank you. Every one of you means so much to me. And I hope you keep listening. I hope you keep enjoying. I hope you have opinions. I hope you agree and disagree in equal amount to things that I say. I want to know that you're invested enough, that you are feel strongly enough that you'd be like, you know what, I don't think you were right about that. I got stuff to say to you about this. I'd love to hear it. Look me up on the Facebook. Look for Uncanny Media and you'll be able to find me. Leave a comment here on Spreaker or leave a comment on Spotify or on YouTube, everywhere these episodes go out to. I would love to hear your opinions. I would love to know what you're thinking. Thanks again. That's it. Have a good night.